there were quite a few people interested, quite a few companies interested. My feeling then, I was working for General Motors, and they were very good to me. They had a very nice environment to work in. So I said, my goodness, if there's going to be a vehicle on the moon, it's going to be a General Motors vehicle, and I'm going to make sure that happens.
Electrovair 2 began assembly in the summer of 1965. Because it was an exercise in virtual duplication, it didn't take long to complete. The ease of the build made it possible for Paul's team to focus on the lunar applications, while Don was preparing to present these finished products to top brass at the Technical Center in Warren, Michigan in January 1966.
In the electric automobile project, almost the entire challenge was the electric drive, because they used essentially an existing Corvair, an existing van, so the 100%, almost 100%, 90% of the challenge had to do conceiving and building an electric drive.
Because of the military clearance that was involved, many within top executive positions at General Motors had no idea that parallel research was taking place in Santa Barbara for the Lunar project. It would be necessary to document that the defense labs had stumbled into this application while doing research for the electric car program.
In the case of the Lunar Rover, the major challenge was really the vehicle itself. How to get such a vehicle to operate reliably and effectively on the moon. It involved designing something for an unknown terrain. He had come up with a model of the lunar soil, the lunar terrain, which turned out to be amazingly accurate. Once the astronauts got to the moon, he had predicted almost exactly what it was.
Prior to the corporate review of Electrovair 1, Electrovair 2, and the Electrovan, Donald Friedman penned the paper for circulation entitled The Correlative Advantages of Lunar and Terrestrial Research. It was an exercise to acclimate civilians to the potential possibilities of this research and cover his bases politically. It was a resounding failure on the political part. Don's career would never recover internally from the blurred lines of military applications utilizing public funds intended for reductions in smog emissions. He felt it was a hypocrisy and became somewhat of an idealist at this point in his career. Over the next few months, it became necessary to formulate a testing procedure for the lunar electric drives.
Each wheel would be driven by its own separate electric motor sealed into the hub. These were powered by an array of batteries in boxes on the front of the rover.
Budgets had been stretched. Top executives wanted the defense labs moved back to Warren, and everyone was under a microscope. This is precisely the time that General Motors incurs its most violent public relations assault from the voice of Ralph Nader.
What aggravates the problem is that the rear wheels of the Corvair begin to tuck under. And as they tuck under, the angle of tuck under is called camber. And as they tuck under, it can go from 3 or 4 degrees camber to 11 degrees camber almost in an instant. And when that happens, nobody can control the Corvair.
Well, then surely they did the right thing. They found out there was something wrong with the car and they fixed it.
Yes, the question is, why did it take them 4 years to find out? This is my point. Either it's sheer callousness or indifference, or they don't bother to find out how their cars behave.
There were whispers of government inquiries into the perceived failure of the electric car program. Needless to say, a tough atmosphere for scientists chasing a so-called car on the moon. The National Service Director, Mr. Tom Putnam, was the answer. He had military clearance and had worked with several of the top men involved in the Lunar project in his early days at General Motors. Arrangements were made for Frank Ballou of the pilot program to slate 4 pilot prototype Camaros for use by the Electric Drive Division to accommodate the reliability testing. They were borrowed, their budgetary needs covered by their National Service Director, and not a perfect fit. Paul Agrawal and Donald Freeman made the concessions work. Dr. Herbert Woodson was an old friend of Paul's and was currently on loan from MIT to the Jet Propulsion Laboratories. Paul asked him to join in personally overseeing the reliability testing. Herb was also the direct connection to the people and the committees that would ultimately make or break the program. The testing went smoothly, and the 4 F-car pilot prototype Camaros were returned to the experimental garage in November of 1966 by George Spix. A couple weeks before, the Electric Drive Division's 3 automobiles were released to the press for the first time on October 28, 1966. With the cars released to the public, the reliability testing complete, Paul ordered the destruction of Electrovair 1, thusly erasing Jalal's memory from the record books and giving him the peace of mind to pursue the governmental contract of the Lunar Rover build. Their patent was awarded on May 30th, 1967, and the electric drive division was in the proverbial driver's seat.